The Galactic Council chamber was brighter than a star. Tall crystal walls curved high above the floor. Floating lights moved slowly in the air like silent ghosts. Hundreds of alien leaders sat in a great circle watching the center platform. Today was important. Today, a human had arrived. Ambassador Elias Ward stood alone on the silver platform. He wore a simple dark uniform with a small blue symbol of Earth on his chest. He had no weapon, no armor, only a calm face. But inside the chamber, tension spread like fire. The Zarvathi Empire had attacked 3 human colonies in the outer systems. Entire cities had burned. Millions were dead.
Ow.
The galaxy called it a border mistake, a misunderstanding. Humans called it murder. Elias knew he was not just standing for Earth. He was standing for every life lost. The council speaker, a tall being made of shifting light, spoke first. Ambassador of Earth, you may present your request. Elias stepped forward slowly. His boots echoed across the smooth floor. Every alien I followed him. Some looked curious. Some looked amused. Some looked cold. He stopped at the center, did not bow. He did not kneel. He simply spoke. Humanity does not come here for revenge, he said in a clear voice. We come for justice. Whispers filled the chamber. Justice was a dangerous word, Elias continued. The Zarvathi Empire destroyed 3 peaceful colonies. Those worlds were not military bases. They were homes. Families lived there. Children lived there. A massive armored figure rose from one of the seats. Zarvathi warlord Karos. His armor was black and sharp like broken glass. His eyes glowed red beneath his helmet. The colonies were in disputed space, Karos said. His voice was deep and heavy. They were warned. Elias looked directly at him. Warned? He asked calmly. There was no declaration of war, no negotiation. Only fire from orbit. Some leaders shifted uncomfortably. The council speaker raised a hand of light. Ambassador, what does Earth request? Elias took a breath. He knew every word mattered. We request acknowledgement of wrongdoing, he said. We request reparations for the lives lost. We request a guarantee that no further attacks will happen. Silence fell again, then laughter, low at first, then louder. Several species began to laugh openly. The humans were new to the galaxy, young, divided, still learning faster travel. Many believed humanity was weak. Warlord Karos stepped forward heavily. You request? He repeated, you come into this chamber and make demands. Elias did not move. I offer peace, he said quietly. Understand this clearly. Humanity does not fear war. The laughter stopped. For a moment, the air changed. Something in his voice felt different. Not anger, a pride. Certainty. Karos stared at him. You speak boldly for a fragile species, Elias answered without hesitation. Fragile things can still break bones. Gasps echoed around the chamber. No one spoke to the Zarvathi like that. The council speaker flickered with tension. Ambassador, threats are not allowed in this chamber. I am not threatening, Elias said calmly. I am warning. Those words spread through the hall like ice water. Karos turned to the other leaders. You see, he said, humans are unstable, emotional, dangerous. Then he faced Elias again. Perhaps your species needs a stronger lesson. Suddenly, Zarvathi guards moved. They were massive soldiers with plasma weapons glowing blue in their claws. The council chamber erupted in shouting. This violates law, one leader shouted. This is a diplomatic envoy, another cried. But the Zarvathi did not stop. Elias stood still. He did not beg, did not step back. He looked directly into Karos's glowing eyes. You still have time, Elias said quietly. Do not choose this path. Karos raised his hand. The guards aimed. For a single second, everything felt frozen. Across the galaxy on Earth, billions watched the live transmission. Families stood in silence in their homes. Soldiers watched from bases. Children stared at screens, not fully understanding. Elias spoke one final time. Humanity wanted peace. Then the plasma weapons fired. Light exploded across the chamber. The transmission cut instantly. Darkness filled every screen on Earth. Silence followed. No one spoke. No one cried. For a long time, there was only stillness. Then the president of Earth appeared on every channel. Her face was pale but steady. "They have killed our ambassador," she said. The words felt heavy. "They have rejected peace." Behind her stood leaders from every human nation. For the first time in history, there were no flags, no borders, no separate governments. "The Zarvathi believe this act will frighten us," the president continued. "They believe humanity will retreat." Her eyes hardened. "They are wrong. In deep space, far from trade routes and observation posts, massive shipyards powered on. Old military projects were unlocked. Hidden fleets received activation codes. Human scientists entered sealed facilities beneath oceans and mountains. Across the planet, one message spread quietly through secure channels. Project Aegis has begun. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, chaos continued. Some leaders demanded punishment. Others remained silent, afraid. Kuros watched the human signal vanish from the platform floor. He felt satisfaction. "The humans will learn their place," he said. But deep inside, something unsettled him. Elias Ward had not looked afraid. He had looked certain. Far from the council, at the edge of a black hole, something enormous moved in the darkness. A structure larger than any known warship slowly powered on. Blue energy lines lit up across its surface. A voice echoed through its command center. "All fleets, prepare for Phase 1. Back on Earth, the president spoke one final sentence to her people. "They killed a messenger." Her voice did not shake. "They have awakened humanity." And in the silent void between stars, humanity began to move. The galaxy waited for anger. It waited for loud speeches, for threats, for fast revenge. But Earth said nothing. Days passed, then weeks. The Galactic Council sent formal messages asking for a response. No answer came. Human embassies and other systems quietly closed. Trade ships stopped traveling. Human diplomats returned home without explanation. Too many empires, this looked like fear. "The humans are broken," some leaders said. "They've accepted their weakness," others agreed. The Zarvathi Empire believed this more than anyone. Warlord Karos stood in the war chamber of his flagship. A massive hologram of human space floated before him. "No fleet movement," one officer reported. "No military response, only retreat." Karos smiled beneath his helmet. "They have spirit," he said, "but spirit is not strength." He ordered more patrols near former human colonies. Zarvathi ships entered damaged systems and claimed them fully. They raised their banners above ruined cities. Still, Earth remained silent. But silence does not mean stillness. Deep beneath Earth's oceans, hidden shipyards worked without pause. Giant metal structures rose slowly from dark waters. Sparks filled underground chambers. Engineers moved like shadows, focused and calm. In orbit, old stations that had been quiet for years powered back on. Massive docks opened like steel flowers. Human warships began to gather, not in open space, but in the dark. Far beyond normal travel lanes, at the edge of a dying star, a fleet assembled. The ships were unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Long, sharp hulls, smooth black armor that absorbed light. Engines that did not glow but bent space softly around them. These were not ships made for defense. They were built for judgment. Admiral Lena Rios stood on the bridge of the largest vessel, the HMS Resolute. She watched the stars stretch slightly around the hull. "Status," she asked. "All fleets report ready," her officer said. "Project Aegis, Phase 2 complete." Rios nodded once. "Hold position. No signals. No movement until command." On the other side of the galaxy, rumors began to spread. Several small scout fleets from neutral empires reported strange readings near human territory, gravity distortions, energy spikes that did not match known engines. One scout ship tried to move closer to investigate. Its signal ended instantly. No explosion, no debris, only silence. The council received these reports with confusion. "Pirates," one leader suggested. "No pirate has that level of power," another answered. Even the Zarvathi began to notice something strange. 3 of their long-range patrol ships disappeared within 2 days.
All near former human systems.
Karo slammed his fist into the hologram table. "Find out what is happening," he ordered. Scanners were pushed to maximum range. Spy drones were sent into deep space. One drone succeeded. It drifted quietly past an asteroid field and transmitted its findings. The image froze every Zarvathi officer in the room. Hundreds of human warships floated in total silence. Perfect formation, perfect control, no wasted movement. At their center was something massive, a ship so large it blocked starlight. Its hull carried no markings except one simple symbol: Earth. Karos leaned forward. "How many?" he asked quietly. "Too many," his officer answered. Before the drone could send more data, its feed cut, not destroyed, simply erased. Back on Earth, the president met with military leaders in a sealed chamber. "They believe we are weak," one general said. "They believe killing one man ended us," another added. The president looked at the image of Ambassador Elias Ward on the wall. "He offered peace," she said softly. "Now we offer consequence." Admiral Rios received the final command hours later. It was short. 3 words. Begin Phase 3. Cross deep space. Human fleets powered up. Not with bright explosions of light, but with quiet distortions in reality itself. Their engines did not burn fuel. They folded space. One by one, fleets vanished from their hidden positions. In the Zarvathi capital system, citizens went about their day unaware. Markets were busy. War factories produced more weapons. News networks repeated the same message. Humanity is silent, humanity is afraid. And space above the outer defense ring rippled. At first, sensors showed errors. Then alarms screamed. Human ships appeared without using gates, without using warp corridors. They simply arrived. Perfectly aligned, perfectly calm. The Zarvathi defense platforms opened fire immediately. Thousands of plasma beams shot toward the intruders. The beams curved, bent, missed. Human ships moved as if they knew the attacks before they happened. Then they responded. One pulse from the massive central ship spread like a wave. Every defense platform shut down instantly. No explosion, no warning, just dead metal floating in space. Panic spread across the Zarvathi command network. Raise shields, deploy fleet, call reinforcements. But something was wrong. Their communications were delayed. Their targeting systems glitched. Human ships advanced slowly, deliberately. They did not rush. They did not shout threats. They transmitted one message across every frequency. A single sentence. They were warned. Back on Earth, billions watched again. But this time there was no fear, only quiet resolve. Admiral Rios stood steady on her bridge. "Target military shipyards only," she ordered. "Avoid civilian sectors." "Yes, Admiral." Human weapons fired, not wild blasts of destruction. Precise beams of controlled energy. Shipyards exploded in controlled bursts. Weapon factories shut down permanently. Military command stations went dark one by one. The Zarvathi main fleet began emergency launch. 10,000 warships powered engines and moved to intercept. Karos stood at the center of his flagship. "Destroy them all," he commanded. His fleet jumped into formation. Across space, human ships waited, still calm, still silent. Admiral Rios watched the approaching armada. "Begin engagement," she said quietly. The stars themselves seemed to dim. And for the first time since killing the ambassador, the Zarvathi Empire felt something new. Fear. The Zarvathi fleet filled the stars. 10,000 warships moved in perfect attack formation. Their hulls were heavy and sharp. Plasma cannons glowed bright blue along their sides. Fighter craft launched in waves, covering space like a dark storm. At the center of the formation stood Warlord Karos aboard his command ship. "Target the largest human vessel first," he ordered. "Break their command, and the rest will fall." His officers obeyed without hesitation. Across the battlefield, human ships remained still. Admiral Lena Rios stood on the bridge of the HNS Resolute. Her hands were behind her back. Her face showed no fear. "Enemy fleet in full attack formation," her tactical officer said. "Understood," Rios replied calmly. "Maintain position." The distance between the two fleets shrank quickly. Then the Zarvathi opened fire. Thousands of plasma beams tore across space. Missiles followed. Fighter squadrons rushed forward at high speed, The sky between stars became bright with weapons fire. But something strange happened. The human fleet did not scatter. They did not panic. Instead, space itself bent. A soft wave passed through the human formation. The incoming plasma beams curved away as if guided by invisible hands. Missiles drifted off course and exploded far from their targets. Zarvathi fighters suddenly lost control. Their instruments failed. Gravity shifted around them, pulling them away from the battlefield. Karos stared at his screens. "What are they doing?" demanded. "We do not know," an officer answered. "Our weapons are not locking properly." "Push forward," Karos shouted. The Zarvathi fleet advanced directly into engagement range. Admiral Rios gave a small nod. Return fire. The human ships did not unleash chaos. They fired in silence. Thin lines of white energy shot forward from the Resolute and its escort ships. They did not explode on impact. They passed through armor like light through glass. The first Zarvathi battleship stopped moving. Its lights flickered, then it split in half. No dramatic explosion, no burning debris. It simply came apart. More beams followed. Each shot found a target. Each shot destroyed a warship completely. Within minutes, hundreds of Zarvathi vessels were gone. Karos felt his chest tighten. "Deploy heavy cannons," he roared. The largest Zarvathi dreadnoughts moved to the front lines. Massive weapons powered up. Energy built around their barrels like growing suns. They fired together. The blast should have erased half the human fleet. Instead, the energy wave struck an invisible barrier around the human ships. The barrier shimmered once, then absorbed everything. Admiral Rios did not react. "Gravity lances," she ordered. From the underside of the Resolute, dark metal structures extended slowly. A low hum filled the bridge. Then space cracked. An invisible force struck the center of the Zarvathi formation. 3 dreadnoughts collapsed inward instantly, crushed by sudden gravity pressure. Their hulls twisted like soft metal. Engines shattered. Reactors imploded. Shock spread across the Zarvathi fleet. "This is impossible," one officer whispered. The battle had lasted only 4 minutes. Half the Zarvathi front line was destroyed. Karos clenched his claws. "Surround them. Close distance. Engage at point range." Thousands of remaining ships rushed forward desperately. Human ships finally moved, not retreating, advancing. They passed between Zarvathi formations like silent predators. Each human vessel seemed aware of every threat before it happened. They dodged without wasted motion. They fired only when certain. Another wave of white beams crossed the battlefield. Another 1,000 Zarvathi ships vanished. The battlefield became quiet in a terrible way. Debris floated everywhere. Emergency signals filled the air. Roos realized something terrifying. The humans were not fighting in anger. They were fighting with control. Every movement was planned, so every shot was calculated. On the bridge of the Resolute, Admiral Rios watched tactical projections. "Enemy fleet strength reduced to 40%, her officer reported. "Continue engagement," she replied. The human fleet changed formation suddenly. Ships aligned in a wide arc. Energy gathered between them. "What is that?" a Zarvathi officer asked in fear. Before Karos could answer, the human formation released a focused energy wave across the entire battlefield. It was not bright. It was not loud. It was absolute. The wave passed through every remaining Zarvathi ship. Engines shut down instantly. Weapons died. Shields vanished. Human ships then fired final precision shots. One by one, the remaining warships were destroyed. The battle ended in 6 minutes and 12 seconds. 10,000 Zarvathi warships had entered the fight. None survived. Silence covered the stars. Admiral Rios looked at the floating debris field. "Scan for escape pods," she said. Her officers paused. "Rescue survivors?" one asked carefully. "Yes," Rios answered. "We are not them." Across the galaxy, sensors recorded the impossible. A full Zarvathi armada erased. Emergency meetings were called everywhere. Leaders replayed the human broadcast again. You were warned. In the Zarvathi capital, panic spread. Military command centers struggled to understand what happened. Warlord Karos sat frozen in his damaged flagship. His ship had survived only because it had stayed behind the main line. For the first time in his long life, he felt something cold inside his chest. Fear. A communication request appeared on his screen. Origin. Human flagship. Karos hesitated. Then he accepted. Admiral Lena Rios appeared. Her face was calm. This was a response, she said. Her voice was steady. Withdraw your forces from human space immediately. Surrender those responsible for the colony attacks and the execution of Ambassador Ward. Karos remained silent. If you refuse, she continued, this will continue. The transmission ended. Karos looked out at the remains of his fleet. It believed humans were emotional, weak, unstable. He now understood something different. They were patient. And patience, when broken, was far more dangerous than rage. Far beyond the battlefield, more human fleets emerged from folded space, and the Zarvathi Empire was no longer preparing for victory. It was preparing for survival. The news spread faster than light. 10,000 Zarvathi warships destroyed in 6 minutes. No human losses confirmed. Across the galaxy, leaders stared at their screens in disbelief. Military experts replayed the battle data again and again. Every time the result was the same. The humans had not struggled. They had not even rushed. They had dismantled an empire's fleet as if it were a training exercise. In the Galactic Council chamber, silence returned. But this silence was different from the day the ambassador died. This silence carried fear. The humans have surpassed projections, one council strategist said quietly. They were always underestimated, another replied. A smaller species leader trembled slightly. They can destroy the Zarvathi fleet so easily. What stops them from destroying us? No one answered. Far away, inside Zarvathi's space, chaos ruled. Military stations sent constant distress calls. Border systems reported human fleets appearing without warning. Strategic outposts were disabled within minutes of contact. But something strange continued. The humans were not attacking cities. They were not targeting civilian populations. They destroyed shipyards, weapons factories, command centers, defense grids. Only military power. Warlord Karos stood inside the central war chamber on his homeworld. His armor was damaged from the earlier engagement, but he refused to remove it. A massive hologram showed red lights blinking across their territory. They strike and disappear, one officer reported. We cannot track their entry points. They bend space, another added. Our physics cannot explain it. Karos gripped the edge of the command table. Prepare the stellar purge cannon, he ordered. The room froze. That weapon had not been activated in centuries. It was designed to destroy entire planetary surfaces. Sir, one officer hesitated. That weapon violates interstellar law. Law, Karos growled. They destroyed our fleet. His eyes burned with rage. If they threaten our empire, we will threaten their home. On Earth, intelligence networks detected unusual energy buildup near the Zarvathi capital. Admiral Lena Rios studied the projections carefully. They are preparing something large, her tactical officer said. Yes, Rios replied softly. They're desperate. She opened a secure channel to Earth's leadership. They're considering targeting Earth directly. The president listened without fear. Can they reach us? She asked. Rios gave a small nod. If they fired that weapon, billions could die. Silence filled the room. Then the president spoke clearly. Stop it before it fires. In deep space, human fleets shifted formation. This time they did not move slowly. They vanished in synchronized flashes of folded space. Moments later, alarms screamed inside the Zarvathi capital system. Human ships appeared directly above the outer defense sphere. Thousands of defense cannons powered up. But they never fired. Human cyber warfare units penetrated their systems instantly. Screens went dark. Weapon targeting froze. Admiral Rios appeared on every Zarvathi command display. This is your final warning, she said. Her voice carried across the entire planet. Deactivate the stellar purge cannon. Surrender Warlord Karos and those responsible for the attack on our colonies. Karos watched her image with fury. You dare threaten us in our own sky? He roared. Rios did not react. You executed a diplomat under galactic law. You slaughtered civilians. You ignored peace. She leaned slightly forward. You will not ignore justice. Behind her, the massive shape of the HNS Resolute came into view. Its dark hull seemed to swallow the light of the star behind it. Karos turned to his officers. Fire the cannon. Energy surged across the surface of the planet. The stellar purge cannon began charging. The atmosphere above the weapon glowed bright orange. Across the galaxy, sensors picked up the massive energy spike. Council members gasped in horror. If that weapon fires, the humans will respond without restraint, one leader whispered. Back above the planet, Admiral Rios gave a quiet command. Execute gravity collapse protocol. From the Resolute deep within its core, something awakened. Space above the Zarvathi capital began to distort. The sky twisted like water being pulled into a drain. The charging cannon suddenly flickered. Energy lines snapped wildly. What is happening? A Zarvathi engineer shouted. The planet's gravity shifted slightly. Just enough. The cannon structure cracked under its own stress. Energy feedback exploded across its surface. In one blinding flash, the stellar purge cannon tore itself apart. The explosion remained contained above the planet. Human ships absorbed the shockwave. The capital city below remained intact. But their ultimate weapon was gone. Inside the command chamber, officers fell silent. Kairos stared at the ruined projection. They broke it, someone whispered. They broke it without firing a shot. Admiral Rios transmitted one final message. This is your last opportunity. Stand down. For the first time, doubt appeared in Kairos's mind. He had believed strength was fear. He had believed dominance was power. The humans showed something different. Control, precision, restraint. They could have destroyed the planet. They did not. Instead, they dismantled its weapons. Outside the capital, human fleets repositioned calmly. They formed a ring in orbit, not attacking, waiting on Earth. Citizens watched in silence. No cheering, no celebration. Only remembrance. A monument of light appeared in Earth's capital city. The name Elias Ward glowed above it. The president spoke quietly to the world. We did not seek this war, but we will finish it. In the Zarvathi command chamber, Kairos finally lowered his head. The empire he believed was untouchable was now surrounded, not by rage, but by certainty. And far beyond their system, additional human fleets continued to arrive, not to conquer, but to ensure that no one ever mistook humanity for weakness again. The Zarvathi capital was surrounded. Human warships formed a silent ring around the planet. Their dark hulls reflected the light of the star, calm and unmoving. No weapons fired. No threats shouted. They waited. Inside the capital command chamber, panic spread like fire. Military officers argued. Generals demanded counterattacks. Scientists insisted it was impossible to break the human blockade. Warlord Kairos stood alone at the center of the room. He'd always believed power meant control. Now he felt none. They are not attacking, one officer said nervously. They are waiting for surrender, another replied. Kairos slammed his fist against the table. We do not surrender, he growled. But even as he said it, he knew the truth. The stellar purge cannon was gone. The Grand Fleet was destroyed. Outer colonies were cut off. Human forces had disabled communication hubs across the empire. Military satellites drifted powerless in orbit. Defense shields flickered weakly. The empire was exposed. Above the planet, Admiralina Rios studied the latest reports. Civilian sectors remained stable, her officer said. No signs of uprising yet. Continue broadcast, Rios answered. Across every screen on the Zarvathi homeworld, a human message played. Not propaganda, not threats. Evidence. Footage of burning human colonies. Records of the ambassador's execution. Transcripts of ignored peace offers. Clear proof of the Empire's actions. The humans did not twist the story. They showed the truth. In cities below, Zarvathi citizens gathered in public squares. They watched in silence. Many had been told the colonies were military threats. Many believed the ambassador had insulted the council. Now they saw something different. They saw a calm human offering peace. They saw their warlord giving the order to fire. Whispers began. Doubt grew. Inside factories and military bases, soldiers hesitated. We were not told this, one officer said quietly. Back in the command chamber, reports flooded in. Civil unrest in the eastern districts, protests forming near the industrial zone. Several governors requesting explanation, Karos felt the ground beneath his power begin to crack. Above the planet, human fleets shifted slightly, not to attack, but to close every escape route. Rios opened a direct channel to the capital again. "Karos," she said evenly, "this ends now. You surround us like predators," he answered coldly. "No," she replied. "We surround you so no more blood is spilled." Her eyes did not show anger, only resolve. "Surrender yourself. Accept trial under galactic law. Withdraw your forces from every occupied system." Karos remained silent. His pride battled with reality. "If I surrender," he said slowly, "the Empire falls." "It already has," Rios answered. That truth struck harder than any weapon. At that moment, a new alert flashed across the Zarvathi command screens. Multiple planetary defense units powering down. "What?" Karos demanded. "Local commanders are refusing orders." Outside the palace walls, thousands of citizens gathered. They demanded answers. They demanded accountability. The Empire had always ruled through strength. Now, strength was gone. Admiral Rios gave another command: "Disable Central Command Grid." A precise beam of energy struck the main military network satellite above the planet. It did not explode. It shut down. Across the capital, war systems powered off completely. No more organized defense. No more control. Inside the command chamber, the lights dimmed. Emergency power engaged.
Arrows.
Stood in the fading glow. Finally understood something he had never considered. The humans had chosen not to destroy them. Had chosen to expose them. And that was worse. Moments later, a group of Zarvathi high officials entered the chamber. They removed their weapons and placed them on the floor. "Warlord Karos," one said quietly, "for the survival of our people, you request your surrender." Karos stared at them in disbelief. "You betray your leader?" "We protect our species," the official answered. Outside, human ships remained motionless. Inside, the Empire collapsed without a single invasion soldier touching the ground. Karos looked around the chamber one last time. His fleet was gone. His weapon destroyed. His people turning away. Slowly, he removed his helmet. For the first time, his face was visible. Not fierce, not proud, only defeated. He activated the communication channel. "This is Warlord Karos," he said heavily. "I accept responsibility. I will surrender." On the bridge of the Resolute, no one cheered. Admiral Rios simply nodded. "Prepare a secure transfer," she ordered. Hours later, a single human interceptor descended to the surface. No army followed, no invasion force. Only a small escort team. Karos was placed in containment under full broadcast view of the galaxy. The message was clear: justice, not revenge. As the human ships began to slowly withdraw from close orbit, celebrations did not erupt on Earth. There were no fireworks. Instead, candles were lit. Names of the lost colonies were read aloud. Ambassador Elias Ward's image was projected into the night sky. The president spoke softly. "This war ends not with conquest, but with accountability." Across the galaxy, other empires watched carefully. Humanity had the power to destroy worlds. They had proven it, but they had chosen restraint. That choice changed everything. Above the Zarvathi homeworld, the last human fleet turned and folded space once more. They did not claim territory, did not demand tribute. They left behind a broken empire forced to rebuild itself honestly. And in the silence that followed, one truth became clear to every species in the galaxy. Humanity did not seek annihilation. But if pushed to the edge, they would end the threat completely. But the galaxy was not the same. For the first time in centuries, the Zarvathi Empire was silent. Its fleets were gone. Its war factories were shut down. Its leaders were under investigation by a united galactic tribunal. Warlord Karos sat inside a secure containment chamber aboard a neutral station. He was no longer dressed in black armor. He wore a simple restraint uniform. The glow in his eyes had faded. He waited for trial. Across the galaxy, species that once feared the Zarvathi began to breathe again. Trade routes reopened. Border systems stabilized. There was still tension. Because now everyone feared something else. Humanity. The same species that had arrived late to the stars. The same species many had laughed at. They had destroyed a grand fleet in minutes. They had dismantled an empire without invading it. They had shown power beyond imagination. In the Galactic Council chamber, leaders gathered once more. This time, a human stood at the center again. But it was not a warlord. It was not a general. It was Earth's new ambassador, Ambassador Mira Solon. She stood calmly, wearing the same blue Earth symbol once worn by Elias Ward. The chamber was quiet. No laughter, no whispers, only attention. The council speaker shimmered softly. Ambassador of Earth, you may speak. Mira stepped forward. Humanity did not want this war, she began in a steady voice. We asked for justice. We were given violence. Her words were simple. Clear, we responded, not with anger, but with certainty. Several alien leaders lowered their heads slightly. One of the smaller species spoke carefully. If humanity has such power, what prevents you from ruling us all? The question hung heavy in the air. Myra did not hesitate. We know what it means to suffer under power without mercy, she answered. Our own history is filled with war and mistakes. She looked around the chamber. We do not fight to rule, G. We fight to ensure no one else must kneel in fear. Silence followed. Then something unexpected happened. One by one, several council leaders stood. They bowed their heads slightly toward the human ambassador, not in surrender, in respect. On Earth, life slowly returned to normal. The hidden shipyards powered down. Project Aegis was sealed once again. The massive warships drifted into deep space, holding positions far from civilian routes. Human fleets returned to patrol duties, but one change remained permanent. The galaxy now understood something important. Humans were patient. Humans were peaceful. But humans were not weak. In the ruins of the former human colonies, rebuilding began. Alien species volunteered resources to help restore the damaged worlds. Some did it from guilt, some from respect, some from fear. It did not matter. The colonies rose again. New cities were built stronger than before. A monument was constructed in orbit above the first destroyed colony. It was simple, a circle of light visible from space. At its center were engraved words in every major galactic language. He asked for peace. Back at the neutral tribunal station, Karos watched the broadcast of the monument. He felt something he had never felt before: regret. His trial was swift and public. Evidence was clear. The execution of a diplomat, the destruction of civilian colonies, the attempted activation of a forbidden planetary weapon. The verdict was announced across the galaxy. Life imprisonment under galactic law, no execution, no torture. Justice. When asked if she supported the sentence, Ambassador Mira answered simply, yes. On the edge of human space, Admiral Lena Rios stood once more on the bridge of the HNS Resolute. The stars were calm. Fleet status, she asked. All units stable, her officer replied. No hostile movement detected. Rios allowed herself a small breath. Stand down to defense formation. Yes, Admiral. As the crew moved calmly through their duties, a young alien observer stood near the bridge window. He had been assigned to study human military behavior after the war. He watched the human officers closely. They did not celebrate destruction. They did not speak proudly of victory. They spoke of balance. He turned to Admiral Rios. Why did you not destroy the entire empire? He asked carefully. You could have. Rios looked at the stars before answering. Because destruction is easy, she said quietly. Control is harder. The young observer tilted his head. Fight so that one day, she continued, we do not have to fight at all. The words stayed with him. Across the galaxy, history books began to record the conflict. Some called it the 6-Minute War. Some called it the Judgment. But most called it something else. The warning. Because it was not just a war. It was a lesson. You never mistake patience for weakness. Never mistake peace for surrender. And never forget what happens when humanity is pushed beyond its final line. On Earth, as night fell, children looked up at the stars again. Not with fear, but with quiet pride. The stars were still dangerous. The universe was still vast. But now, every species understood a simple truth. Humanity did not seek annihilation. But if forced, humanity would end the threat. and then choose peace. The galaxy would never forget the day they killed Earth's ambassador, because it was the day they learned what humanity truly was.